Hey there guys, how are you? Welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. I meant to push my intro button, but I pushed the live button instead. But nevertheless, thank you so much for joining me once again for a brand new live show. I did do the first ever live show in the new Flick Cave on Halloween night at 2 o'clock in the morning of Halloween. I hope you joined me for that. If you didn't, I understand. But if you want to watch that live show, well, go check it out from a few days ago. And also over on the Flick Pick channel, I did a brand new movie night talking all about my disgust and my disdain for Halloween Ends. So that was a fun movie night. And plus you guys get sort of a first look at my new theater room that's still in the process of... Well, I have to hang some movie posters and a few other things. But yeah, you get a first look at that. And if you did watch that, thank you so much. I hope you hated the movie as much as I did. But if you didn't and you enjoyed it, well, it's okay. We can still be friends. But with all of that said, let's dive into your questions for this brand new Ask Me Anything movie talk. All right, here we go. I'm ready. Actually, we had a question earlier from Max Nugenbauer. Here it goes, Max. Halloween Ends was somewhat average. I would say it was below average. But it was still a big disappointment. Hopefully the reshoot version will be better. The reshoot version? No. The only way you could make that better is if you took every copy, digital copy, every file, every physical copy of Halloween Ends, and you put it into a meat grinder like Michael Myers' ass was, and you just grind it up into hamburger meat. Just vanquish it from all existence. And then start fresh in 5 years and just reboot the shit. That's probably what they're going to do. But... all right, the next one comes from Zach Keel. Every time I go to Mega Replay, I get excited that maybe one day I might see you there and get to meet you, but sadly, you're never there when I am. Sorry if you find this creepy. I don't find it creepy at all, Mac or Zach. Dude, I might go like later next week. Maybe later next week. I'd love to meet you, man. If you're there, give me a high five and a hug, whatever you want. But I do want to do a new Flick trip by mid-November. So I don't know exactly which day I'll be there. Don't camp out and wait for me, but I don't know. Sometime this November, I'll try to be there, man. But thanks for that, and thanks for the super chat. Maybe if you DM me on Twitter, maybe I could be like, hey, I'll be there at 2 o'clock today if you want to say what's up, man. Maybe I can do something like that. I like to meet my viewers. It's the least I can do. So you guys have to look at my stupid face, so I like to return the favor every once in a while. All right, the next one comes from The White Skull. Hi, John. The 14th is my birthday, and I was wondering if you can do a live show for my birthday. I don't know if I'll be doing a live show on the 14th, but nevertheless, happy birthday to you. The White Skull. I'll just call you happy birthday, White Skull. But if I do in fact do a live show on the 14th, please remind me that it's your birthday. Josh Coffey says, don't get scared now. Yeah, don't get scared. By the way, a quick update. I saw a question in here about it. If you guys want to talk about the new Avatar Way of Water trailer, we can. Another quick update is I will be seeing Wakanda Forever. I have to drive to a screening in Columbus, Ohio, Monday. So I'll see it Monday and do a first reaction that night, and hopefully a review following that a day or two later. And in a little bit, in just a few minutes, I want to do a special unboxing of the Columbia Classics Volume 3 4K set, which is pretty awesome. I'm a big fan of these sets. Okay, the next one comes from Legion Eckstein. Is Spider-Man No Way Home as good without the hype? It's still entertaining. I mean, the hype at the time was like all three different versions of the Spider-Mans culminated into one movie, which is still really cool to think about. And I still, as far as Spider-Man No Way Home goes, you could get rid of the first hour of that movie. Like you feel like you got nothing from, like you missed nothing. But that last hour and a half of Spider-Man No Way Home, that's good shit, man. That's just fan service. It's pure and unadulterated, and I like it. So I still find it a very entertaining movie. Quinn Udi says, have you seen the unfinished cut of Shelby Oaks yet? No, I haven't. I know nothing. I don't really know any details about it, man. I haven't really kept up with it. Don't know anything about it. I guess I'll just see it wherever it is when it comes out. Okay, the next one comes from... Oh, God, you guys are killing it here. All right, I'm trying to catch up. Sorry. Give me a second here. Don't get scared. I already answered that. Logan Eckstein says, I thought it was dumb. The whole trilogy wasn't really original. It was just a rehash of the original three. Yeah, more or less. It was the most uncreative, uninspired cash grab pile of junk shit I've ever seen, capitalizing on horror fans who are very forgiving, especially when it comes to iconic horror characters such as Michael Myers. And what they did is they used that fan base to make some quick cash with the most lackluster fucking minimum quality of cinema that ever existed. It was a disgrace. I think if you got like three 12-year-olds together who have seen the original Halloween movie and said write 3 screenplays for a trilogy, they would have done a better job than that pile of garbage that we got. Some people like the 2018 one, and I would say it's mildly entertaining. Like, it wasn't insulting, except at the same time, it was sort of like a lackluster B-rate version rehash of the original, but not anything was better and everything was worse. So yeah, I just wasn't a fan of it. That's what that felt like to me. That whole trilogy was just a wasted potential and a cash grab. Did I answer your question? I don't know if I did. I'm just tired of shitty movies, and I will be the guy who says it. The next one comes from Mark Hickey. Hey, John, I'm a little drunk now, but you're the best man. Can I get a Nick Cage in Bad Lieutenant? Your father... Oh, you want that one? Okay. Bad Lieutenant and Scene. What's the matter? Your father not going to enough school plays or something? What's in the bag? A shark or something? Great lines only Nick Cage could give. And thank you for that, man. Have another drink on me. Craig says, you're the man. Hope you had a great Halloween. I did have a great Halloween. We had some trick-or-treaters show up. Like 10 or 12 kids showed up. The thing is, Halloween is dying. I don't know about where you live, but it just feels like because everyone's so weird and antisocial and they don't know how to actually communicate with one another. It's just some kind of weird thing that people have. It's like a weird disease. It's a sickness. It's a weakness, in my opinion. But we had like 12 kids show up. And you could tell they were really excited, but I remember when I was a kid in Halloween in the 90s, the streets were packed with kids and people, and it was just so active and festive. Now it's like every once in a while a kid comes by and they look sort of depressed. Yeah, Halloween's oddly, like it's not only the kids not showing up, it's people don't even give out candy on Halloween anymore. Like I remember every house on a street would be giving out candy. Now it's like 1 out of every 10. So if you're a kid and you want to go trick-or-treating, it's like hard to find candy nowadays. Yeah, it's sort of sad, isn't it? The next one comes from... Oh, sorry. Did I even answer this question? Okay, here we go. Didn't even watch Halloween Ends because of how bad I hear it is, and the plot sounds like garbage. Much love, man. Yeah, there's not really... I mean, the plot is watching some boring guy who wants to be Jeffrey Dahmer not do much, and then Michael Myers shows up at the end. That's the plot of Halloween Ends. But hey, they thought that was a good idea to make it into a movie. The next one comes from Gwen Udi. Thoughts on Creed 3 trailer? Does Rocky die? I don't think Rocky's in this one whatsoever. I think Stallone didn't want much to do with this movie, is from what I remember. There was some kind of falling out. I could be wrong. The trailer looks okay. I think we're sort of like reaching at this point in the Creed franchise. And my biggest complaint was the second one. I thought they sort of underutilized what they could have done with the main antagonist of that movie. With Drago, Ivan Drago. I wanted more of that. I'm hoping maybe he comes back in this next movie. Maybe he comes back to help Creed. You know, he needs a little inspiration. Maybe the man who killed his father comes back to help inspire him. Wouldn't that be a great turn of events? I could see that happening. Maybe it won't. I'm sure it just culminates in a boxing match. But Michael B. Jordan directed this one, right? So, I don't know. I'm curious to see how he did with his... first time directing gig. The next one comes from Josh Coffey, thoughts on Rock disliking Shazam franchise? I didn't know The Rock disliked the Shazam franchise. I didn't hear that. Why would he? He's Black Adam. They're almost interconnected as two characters. Maybe it was a joke. Mr. 47 says, are you a fan of Cinemassacre and Angry Video Game Nerd? James did 2 videos that should pique your interest, 10 popular films I don't love, and 10 reasons why Blu-ray sucks compared to DVD. Check them out. Yeah, those sound like good videos, man. Maybe I will at some point. I'm a fan. I liked his videos. I haven't watched one in a while, but I always liked his Angry Video Game sort of videos. And I sort of... It sort of reminds me of like movie nights in a way, sort of like what I do. But no, I like videos like that. I like where you have skits and it's sort of laid back and immersive. It's not just blah, 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 talking head. And then it, you know, so I do like his videos. He definitely puts in the effort. I actually remember it was like 3 or 4 years ago. I had a really bad flu. And I wasn't really into the Angry Video Game Nerd. And then one day I just started watching every single one of his videos for like 3 days straight and caught up on every single episode he ever made. Good times, except I was vomiting violently. Splatter Vision says, sorry for bad SC, I'm poor. What is your BRCL vid? Blu-ray collection vid? Okay, sorry. Okay, there was too many abbreviations in there. Sometimes, I know it looks like I don't know how to read, but I'm trying to decipher like another language sometimes with the abbreviations people put for things. So it takes a little bit of time to process such information. But as far as my Blu-ray collection video, funny enough, you say that. It's actually on my editing software right now, which is opened up on my desktop, and I would say you might want to look out tomorrow morning / tomorrow afternoon for a brand new Blu-ray movie collection video over on the Flickpick channel. So look out for that. I don't know how long it'll be. The unedited version right now is like 1 hour and 40 minutes, but there's definitely a few things I can cut out there. So it'll be maybe like an hour long video at least. So check it out. C51 Tanish HQ says, are you participating in No Nut November? I am not. Too late. No, I don't know, man. Is there a prize to win? If not, what's the point? Big Daddy says, please go back to using a Logitech mouse, John. This is a Logitech mouse, my good man, right here. I've been using this bad boy for a long time now, ever since that piece of junk, what was the brand I used? Razer. Yeah, the Razer mouse, which was the biggest piece of shit that's ever existed in all of humanity. Just a cheap little chintzy Chinese mouse that was made for 3 cents, shipped over here. They charged me $69 to use it and claimed it was a really good gaming mouse that cut out all the time. The batteries died every 2 days. Biggest junk piece of shit company that's ever existed. Razer products are garbage. And with all that said, I am currently still using a Razer pair of headphones and a Razer keyboard right here. But do as I say, not as I do. But I will say their mouse was terrible. Actually, their keyboards are pretty terrible too. But I just don't feel like buying another one. So yeah, I do have a Logitech mouse now though. The next one comes from Bo Cylinder. Says, pick your poison, Attack of the Clones or Rise of Skywalker. Whew, shit. I'd probably rather watch Attack of the Clones, man. Rise of Skywalker was not a real movie. It just was not a real cinematic experience. It was missing everything that the magic of Star Wars is supposed to have. And it just felt like this corporate, commercialized facade. And you could tell, like, there was 3 scenes in there where they're, like, really trying to pull in the heartstrings. But I was like, this is just a commercial. Like, this, I feel nothing watching this. So I'd probably Attack the Clones. I'd rather watch that. Luis Javier Rubio says, what's up, Johnny Funk Man? Have you seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners? If so, what do you think of that? I don't even know what the fuck that is, man. What is Cyberpunk Edge Runners? I don't know. I don't know what the kids are doing nowadays. I couldn't tell you. Is that a game? Is that a movie? Is that an animated series somewhere on some streaming service? I don't know what that is. No clue. The next one comes from Josh Coffey. Thoughts on 28 months later, film possibly happening with Cillian Murphy. I knew there was a sequel in the works for a while now. I mean, that's definitely a franchise or something you can make for a decent budget and put it on some streaming service, and it would really do well because people like apocalyptic movies with zombies. I'm surprised it hasn't happened already. I'm surprised like Netflix hasn't said, hey, we have a whole bunch of money that we like to waste. Here, let's make something people want to see. I would like to watch that. I liked the franchise. I would say the first one's by far the best, and everything after that sort of like fizzled out a little bit, but I could see a sequel to that. John, where's the shades? Would you like me to put the shades on? My Nicolas Cage shades? Let me know. Should I put them on? I still need to watch Black Adam. Yeah. I watched it. I typed all my notes to do a review the other day, and shit got too busy. But I did do a first reaction in the theater. We got James Doshier here, who's been a member for 13 months. Hey, John, how's it going? It's going pretty good, man. Went to the gym earlier. I got a couple videos to poop out by tomorrow, and then I'm off to Vegas for a couple of days. So, should be a good time. A. Torres says, have you seen any DC animated movies? If so, what's your favorite? I like the Dark Knight Returns. There's maybe a few others I like, but when it comes to like animated movies from DC or even Marvel, other than like the big ones that stand out, like Mask of the Phantasm, for example, which is actually a theatrical DC movie from like the mid-90s, a lot of them I don't take the time to watch. Are you watching Andor? I find it dark and glorious. I find Andor to be one of the most boring shows that's ever existed. I know the cool thing to do is say, oh, it's really good and I like the tone, but the tone of Andor is good. I do appreciate the tone and the way it's made, and it feels like it's actually made for adults, and it makes me angry that they didn't take that same tone of Andor and give it to something like Obi-Wan, the series. That would have been phenomenal. Now, with all that said, I know it sounds like I'm crapping on Andor, and I'm not. I will just say it feels like in the first 5 episodes, almost nothing happens. Okay, so I did watch the last episode. I watched is, and this isn't really a spoiler, but he essentially is put into this containment center, and I'll just leave it with this. I did like that episode. I thought that was really good. I liked it was something different, and I could have watched a whole series based around this. Sort of like leading to like a prison escape-esque deal. But the thing that this prison reminds me of, it reminds me of the same prison in the movie Face Off with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta, where they have to wear these like magnetic boots, and that's how they're sort of contained in the prison. Except in Andor, they walk around on this like electricity floor, and unless you have rubberized boots, you get electrocuted. So it's sort of like this. You could tell they took inspiration from Face Off, but I liked that. I really did. I thought that was good. Black Adam is so generic. Absolutely. It is very generic. It's mildly entertaining, but it's way better than I thought it would be. That's the best way I can describe it. Rise of Skywalker is amazing. You're a liar. Oh, we got a bot in here. New at 84% will find a girl for you. That's just terrible advertising and marketing. God dang it. Now I got to go in and block these people. Do these spam bots work? Does anyone ever click their shit and sign up for it? Okay. Got a hide user from channel. All right. Go fuck yourself. All right. Let's keep going here. The next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. If you were to write and direct a Home Alone sequel that ignores the 3, 4, and 5, and 6 with Macaulay Culkin playing a grown-up Kevin McAllister, what would it be about? Probably just Kevin growing up, and I don't know, he probably forgets his kids at home. He doesn't forget his kids at home. He's not as dumb as his parents were. But somehow him and his kids, maybe he can have 2 kids in this one, rather than just one, you could have 2. somehow they get separated, but it's almost one of those things where with modern day technology, it's hard to have that disconnect. Like in the first movie, the power lines went down. Okay, I can believe that. But nowadays, it's just like, it's hard not to be able to get on the internet somewhere or use your cell phone. So really, you'd have to almost have like a natural disaster, and in which case it kind of takes away the fun of Home Alone, doesn't it? I would just say I would have Kevin McAllister's kids become separated from the family and rinse and repeat the same shit we've already seen. That's what I would do. Mark Hickey says, another drink on you, bro. Warriors come out to play. Thanks for that, man. They do. And with all that, let me take a drink of this. Okay. Z White says, Halloween 1978 is garbage and the most overrated. Well, that's just like your opinion, man. I think Halloween 78's perfection. It's simplistic. It's exactly what it needs to be. And all the horrifying elements are so subdued where you get invested in the characters because it's not this over-bloated pile of garbage. The scene where Laurie Strode, it's such a simple scene, where she's in that closet and Michael Myers breaks through the door. That's a phenomenal scene. Like, the lighting is like, they actually use the lighting from the light bulb in the closet. You can see it dangling all over the place and just the shadows. That to me is perfection. It's not overlit. It's not overdone. It's just, it feels real. And when it feels more real, it feels more visceral. You know, that's what I like. And that's what I think most horror films should be. When horror films are overly stagey looking, it sort of takes me out of it because I want that fine line between fiction and reality to be very blurred when it comes to like horror films, because that's how you get like scared and immersed. You're like, oh, this shit could really happen. But when they separate that line, it like takes me out of it. So I'm going to disagree with you right now. All right. The next one. Sorry, I'm all over the place right now. Hang on a second. Give me a second here. A lot of windows to click on. Okay, and by the way, thanks to all 250 of you watching right now. Thank you for that. You guys are killing it in the chat. I'm going to do my best to keep up. I'm probably about 7 minutes behind. The next one comes from Phil. And thanks for the super chat, Phil. What's your favorite OLED specific movie? I just got an OLED myself. I really enjoy the deep blacks and bright colors of Tron Legacy. I just wish they would release it on 4K. It's such a great eye candy. Yeah, so I got a brand new OLED. I got an 83-inch LG OLED. It's in my theater room now, and I tweaked and perfected the settings as much as I could. And by the way, never use the standard settings out of the box that they give you. Even like the filmmaker mode on the LG, it looks like garbage to me. I'm like, no one would watch a movie that dark and tainted. It just looks bad. I don't know who decided that was the settings they should use. They should be fired instantaneously, because if I went to the theater to watch a movie that looked that dark and overly contrasted, I would be angry. It looked like the bulb was about to die. So to get to your question here, Phil, speaking of Tron Legacy, that is a good-looking movie, which I believe was also, they might have done some digital shots, but it looks very filmic at the same time to me. Some of the image actually looks soft, very filmic looking, especially when I watched it. It really depends. You know, if you want like a crisp, clean 4K experience, most modern day movies will give you that. I will say if you want like the best streaming, like if you want to watch something streaming at your house right now, if you don't own the 4K, Disney Plus, love it or hate it, whatever, they have the best quality streaming service in my opinion when it comes to bitrate. So when you watch movies like Avengers Endgame or Infinity War, the bitrate for those films, it actually looks like 4K to me on a streaming service. And also they have the IMAX presentation, which gets rid of the black bars and gives you the full spectrum of the image. And when it comes to like watching new movies on my OLED, the first thing I did is I went to Disney Plus and I watched Avengers Endgame, the final like hour of that movie. And that looks phenomenal. That's like one of the best visual representations I can tell you to go watch for your new TV. Pretty much put it like this. If that looks like crap on your new TV, then something's wrong with your new TV. But you can watch other things like Mad Max Fury Road looks pretty good. A lot of bright, vivid colors. Avatar's coming to 4K, I think, this month. So those would be a few good examples. Now, I have yet to do it myself, but I've heard Top Gun Maverick on 4K is probably one of the best looking 4K releases ever put out. So I'm sort of savoring the flavor on that. I will watch it next week. I've seen it at theaters. But, yeah, I can't wait to pop that bad boy in and turn it up and listen to the sound of the jets with the subwoofers. Oh, give it to me right now. I want to see every pixel of Tom Cruise that I possibly can. So those would be a few movies. But if you want to watch like classic cinema, like Taxi Driver on 4K, looks really, really, really good. When you watch that on 4K on your OLED, it'll look like you're watching a film presentation. Like it's nice and rich. It has the grain and all these little things. It just, so good. But thanks for the question, Phil, and enjoy your new TV. DJ Run says, can you do a Morgan Freeman impression selling Blu-rays at a store? Probably not a very good one, but I'll try. Welcome to Best Buy. My name's Morgan Freeman. Is there anything I can help you with? Over there's our 4K selection. You either get busy watching or you get busy dying. And with all that said, very quickly, before I continue on with the questions, by the way, I'm about 12 minutes behind. This is the new Columbia Classics 4K Ultra HD Collection Volume 3. I've done an unboxing for the other two versions of this. I think I have. I know I've done at least one. But this was sent to me last week. And these are awesome. So what they do is they take some classic films from the Columbia Vault and they put them on 4K. And they do a pretty good job with these. Now, when it comes to this release, let's very gently... Ooh, it's a little gluey right there. There we go. Nice and gentle. When it comes to these Columbia Classics releases, the boxes to me are nice. That's a nice box. The only thing is I call these board game boxes. And these are really hard to display, in my opinion. Like, there's not really much going on here on the cover. Like, it's a nice cover, but it's not really something you want to put on a shelf and just stare at. It's not much going on here. I wish these were more in, like, a standard box size, like a typical... what's the term? A standard box, I guess. Not so rectangular, because I don't really have anywhere to put this. I wish I could put it on the shelf and it was just there and I could see all the titles on the side of it. And I think that would be a better presentation. But yeah, as far as the movies that come in here, these are all pretty standard. The last two volumes were very similar to this. You open it up and in here you have like a booklet that has really nice artwork on it. And as far as the movies go, they're all in these little side pockets. And the movies are To Sir with Love, From Here to Eternity, It Happened One Night, As Good as It Gets, Annie, and The Last Picture Show. Now, when it comes to all the other volumes, I would say I was more of a fan of the films that were in those. This is probably my least favorite volume they've put out, just because a lot of these movies, some of them are classics, some of them you might have a special place for in your heart. I've only seen like 3 of these. I've seen Annie, As Good as It Gets, and I think I've seen To Sir with Love, but the rest I have not. But that doesn't mean they're going to not be great movies. But like the last volume came with like Taxi Driver, for example. I go, that was good stuff. So yeah, I think this has the least amount of rewatchable movies that come with it. But let's check out this booklet very quickly here. Yeah, it's a really nice booklet. I mean, it's got all kinds of information on the making of the movies and things like that, and nice images and just nice tidbits. I like to read stuff like this and just learn things I never really knew. But yeah, anyway, that's the Columbia Classics Volume 3 set. Did you guys pick this up? Are you going to pick it up? I would definitely recommend the first 2. Like I said, this just has my least amount of movies I want to watch over and over in it. But I'll definitely put it on the shelf back there with Volume 1 and 2. So yeah, nice set. And they do a pretty good job on the 4K transfers in those as well. Have you seen Gummo? I talk about classic cinema, and then you ask me, have you seen Gummo? Yes, I have, my good man. Yes, I have. In high school, we used to watch that over and over. Just hilarious shit. My favorite scene in Gummo is when he goes down into his basement and he tapes a whole bunch of spoons together, like four or five spoons, and he starts curling them. He's curling spoons. That's Gummo. John, a big fan for the last 8 years. Thanks for the vids. Well, thanks for watching, man. Thank you. The next one comes from Obed Arzago, who's been a member for 22 months. Was the last rabbit hole you went? What was the last rabbit hole you went into? Oh man, I don't know. Define rabbit hole. I mean, I have a new house, and I'm kind of like a weirdo. I get really fixated on like little things that are wrong with houses. So the other day, don't ask me why. I don't even want to tell you why. I crawled up in our attic, and I was crawling around up there for an hour and a half with a flashlight, inspecting every square inch in my attic, looking at every pipe, looking at every piece of wood. I was just like, for some reason I was looking. I was convinced I had termites. So, but I don't. So yeah, that's the last rabbit hole I went down, man. James Dozier says, do you have any favorite video game memories? Favorite video game? Tons. A lot of them always go back to my childhood, especially when I had friends come over and we'd stay up all night playing Mortal Kombat with some pizza and some popcorn and some like Surge energy drinks, or not. They weren't even energy drinks back then. The Surge was just normal soda that just happened. Like if you made Surge today, it would be illegal because they would classify it as crack cocaine. But back in the 90s, that was just a drink for kids. That was no big deal. There's only 800 milligrams of caffeine in there. It could kill a small baby rhino, but that's the shit we drank as kids. So staying up all night playing like games like Turok, which seems like you could never beat the game. Mortal Kombat, Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I mean, it just goes on and on. Even in high school, my friends and I would play games like Halo multiplayer and Call of Duty and stuff. And that was fun. You know, anytime everyone actually physically got together to play games, it was always a good time. The next one comes from Quinn Udi. Once Cobra Kai ends, I hope Ralph Macchio and Billy Zabka start acting in movies again. Due to marketing, it should be wise to cast them to make more money. The thing about those two actors, though, I could see Billy Zabka maybe playing a character here or there. I could Ralph Macchio maybe, but more or less, I like both of them. I just think there's probably a reason they weren't in a lot of stuff for the last 20 years. Take that how you will. I don't know. But I've always liked Billy Zabka. I really have. I always wondered what happened to him because he was always like the go-to bully guy in 1980s movies. Maybe they'll be in the new Karate Kid movie coming out in a couple years. Gabe K says, love my flicky picky. What's the best horror film you watched this Halloween season? For me, it was Watcher 2022. Very eerie and well acted and directed. Are you talking about new horror films or movies I just enjoyed watching again? The other night on Halloween, we watched Poltergeist. I haven't seen that in a long time. And I was like, God, this is a great movie. Like just the practical effects and just the immersiveness of it. Really fun to watch. Sort of lighthearted in a way, but that was fun. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. I watched that a few weeks ago. That movie is always entertaining to me. But if you're talking about like new movies that came out this Halloween season, I watched the Babadook for the first time ever. That was pretty good. I don't think I'd watch it again, but I'm glad I watched it once. It only took 7 years, but. Quinn Udi says, should Ellen Page start acting as an actor now? Sure, if she wants. If they want to cast her and she's right, or he or is right for the role, yeah, sure. Itchy Elbows says, just rewatched the sequel trilogy. Crazy how poorly they hold up. Such a missed opportunity. JJ is such an overrated filmmaker, messing up 2 franchises. Yeah, the thing about J.J. Abrams is, like, sometimes he does a good job, but the majority of the time, he doesn't. It's a weird phenomenon. Like, the first Star Trek movie he directed, I was like, oh, that's really good. You know what it is? He always starts off strong and then like slowly just says, you know what, I don't care anymore. And it's almost like he loses interest in the movies he's directing every time he gets to direct a franchise. The next one comes from Charlie Richstone. When is this Blu-ray collection coming, John? I already answered that. It's coming tomorrow. Look out for it. I hope you enjoy it. Tak Ot Ami says, hey, Flickster, have you seen Michael Mann's Collateral, and what did you think of Cruise's performance? It's one of my all-time favorites. I've talked about that movie a million times. Maybe a billion times if we're just making up numbers here. Yeah, I have. Collateral is phenomenal. It's one of those movies I've always enjoyed more and more I've watched it. I saw it in theaters back in 2004. And I think it's one of Tom Cruise's best performances because he actually plays a villain. And I wish Tom Cruise would play more villains because I think it's actually better suited to him. Because I think he actually in real life is, well, I think he's the Antichrist, but that's neither here nor there. I really love Collateral. I love movies that just don't feel overproduced. And I love when they use like nighttime lights of the street lights. So, something about that's way more immersive to me. Like, I like that. And plus movies that just take place at night, where it's sort of like this game of cat and mouse. I've always been a sucker for those types of films. James Dosher says, have you seen Adventures in Babysitting 1987? Dude, I've seen that movie countless times. That was one of my go-to movies growing up as a kid. We had that on beta tape, the precursor to VHS. And we had it in a shoebox, and I'd watch it all the time. Loved that movie. One of the first appearances of a live action Thor in a film, by the way. But yeah, I actually just watched it again a couple months ago. I think it was is it on Disney Plus? Yeah. Faisal H, thanks for the very generous super chat, man. How's it going? Would you pay $8 a month to have your account verified on Twitter? Is that what it costs now to have your account verified on Twitter? Is that like the rumor coming around since Elon Musk bought Twitter? Would I pay $8 to have my account verified? I don't. I would, no, probably not. Unless, here's the only reason I would, and I could see them doing this, if this is just like a hypothetical question, so I'll give you a hypothetical, made up hypothetical response to it. I could see them saying if you pay $8 a month to have your account verified, you also get more reach with your tweets. And if you don't pay it, they sort of like limit your reach. Then I would be more enticed to do it, which to me is like, it would be terrible. That's a bad business strategy. But being verified on Twitter doesn't really mean anything to me. I wish it did, but it just doesn't. I don't know why. I just don't care. I know how to do it. I know what it takes. I just don't care. Like, I'm too lazy to upload my ID to do it. So, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. For $4? Maybe. Thanks for the question, man. And was that in a reference to anything? My favorite Tom Cruise performance is Magnolia. Yeah, he plays like a weird like sex teacher that sells info commercials on how to pick up chicks. That was a good character for Tom Cruise. John Burkett says, we need the streaming glasses, John. Do you? I'm going to get the streaming glasses. Hang on. Let me take a sip of my delicious caffeinated beverage here. Okay, I'll be right back. Ta-da. All right, here's actually these are smudgy as shit. Hang on. Okay, the next one comes from James Dosher says, any favorite Clint Eastwood movies? I've been watching a lot of his movies lately, and he is one of my favorite directors/actors, even though he is very hit or miss. My favorites are Pale Rider, Gran Torino, and the first Dirty Harry. You know what? I would more or less agree with everything you just said there. My overall favorite Clint Eastwood movie is probably Gran Torino. which kind of reminds me of my grandfather in an odd way, which I relate to that movie. Also, another underrated one by him is Heartbreak Ridge, which came out in the 80s, where he plays a drill instructor. I think you might like that as well if you haven't seen it. So yeah, I would agree with your picks. The next one comes from Itchy Elbows. Rewatch The Batman. I think it's just okay. Seen it done better by Nolan and Burton. Hope they introduce Robin to spice it up and make it different. Yeah, the thing about that movie, I can understand everyone's complaints with it, and I don't think it's perfect. And rewatching it over and over, I've seen it like 10 times now. There's definitely some parts in there that feel like they could have left it on the editing room floor. Now, I know they gave Matt Reeves full creative control to probably do whatever he wanted, so he left a lot of shit in his movie. But at the same time, like, I'm watching it over and over again. I'm like, yeah, this sort of feels like it didn't belong in here. Like, it sucks the pacing right out of the movie, some of the sequences. But still, I love it, man. I think the tone is fun. I think they got a lot of things right. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But it's definitely a different, more subdued take on Batman. And if they want to go a different direction for the next Batman movie, that's fine. At least we have this one. But I've said this once, I'll say it again. This Matt Reeves Batman movie, to me, was a setup for spin-off series for HBO Max. That's what this was supposed to be. This is like the HBO Max Batman universe. It's a cinematic theatrical movie, but the plan was to take that and have a whole bunch of spin-off series on HBO Max. That's just why I feel like that was made the way it was. The next one comes from Guillaume Labelle. Thoughts on Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? I've seen that one time in my life, right? So going into watching it, I didn't know much. And the last time I watched this could have been, gosh, the early 2000s. And I didn't know what to expect from it. I thought it would be, I was like, oh, Michael Myers will be in Halloween 3. Why wouldn't he be? Just like I thought he'd be in Halloween Ends. Why wouldn't he be? And it was a very different movie than what I expected. I think had they called that something besides Halloween, that different direction would have had a chance. But the fact that it just let a lot of people down, I know it's went on to become a cult classic. I haven't seen it in a long time. It was one of those movies I watched once. I was like, okay. I know some people love it, but yeah, I haven't seen it since the early 2000s. The next one comes from Max Neugenbauer. Jurassic World Dominion was a much better conclusion than Halloween Ends. You know, that's really saying something. In a weird way, you're not wrong. I would say it is a better conclusion, but then again, I mean, Halloween Ends wasn't a real movie. And Jurassic World Dominion was barely a real movie. So, but it was slightly more entertaining. Yes, like at least in Jurassic World Dominion, you got to see dinosaurs. You got to see the cast come back. They didn't lie to you. They didn't say, oh, this is a Jurassic Park movie, and then a dinosaur shows up for 3 minutes. No, they gave us that shit, in all fairness, yes. So if that's the comparison you want to make, sure, I could understand that. By the way, I did miss some questions earlier. I'm getting to them right now. Abnash Mahatni says, She-Hulk has more Rotten Tomatoes score than House of the Dragon. Do you think Disney pays critics to give higher ratings for their mediocre products? Your House of the Dragon opinion. I didn't know that was a thing. Who gives a fuck about Rotten Tomatoes? Why do you care? Just made up bullshit. But yeah, I don't care. I don't. Who cares? It's a made up score. It's an aggregator. It just means a whole bunch of people in there that have an agenda said positive. That's what it is. I get they were afraid to give it a real score. That's what that was. House of the Dragon is actually like a real cinematic series. She-Hulk is bubblegum that you find on the bottom of your shoe after a long day. I mean, so if there's ever been an indicator, and if that is in fact true, if there's ever been an indicator that Rotten Tomatoes was meaningless, it's that right there. The next one comes from Alex Carr. Hey, John. Been a while since I caught a live stream. However, would you agree that the worst Halloween movie was either the one with Paul Rudd or Resurrection, both awful films? I'm going to say it's Halloween Ends. I don't care. I don't care. That is the worst one. Now, in all fairness, though, we have to talk about Busta Rhymes now. Yeah, that was probably the worst one. Yeah. The one with Paul Rudd wasn't the most entertaining, but I still don't think it's one of the worst. Well, it's probably in the top 3 worst, yeah, but it's not the worst. Bye, Max. Take care, man. I didn't make it to the second episode of She-Hulk. Yeah, I made it to the second episode, and then I didn't make it past that. And then once someone told me how it ended, I was like, no. That can't be the way they ended it. And sure enough, I watched the ending of She-Hulk, and I'm like, even if you liked this show up until this point, didn't you feel insulted? Like, didn't you just feel like they slapped you in the face and said, nah, fuck you? Like, could you go out of your way to take the audience out of the show any more than they did? Trick or treat, motherfucker. Yeah, I love me some Halloween Resurrection, man. All right, the next one. Did I catch up on those questions? I think I caught up on all those questions. Okay. The next one comes from. It's coming from somebody up here. Let's see. Okay, James Dozier says Pulp Fiction on 4K. Are you excited about it next month? I am. I actually just watched Pulp Fiction again on HBO Max the other day. Yeah, I could use it on 4K. I need it. I need every Tarantino movie on 4K. Is like Django Unchained's not on 4K, is it? If it is, I didn't know about it, but that's one I would like to get on 4K. DJ Run says, I know you're not political, but will you vote for the midterm elections? I don't know. Who cares? You can vote for whoever you want. Nothing really ever changes. If you think that guy in power actually has power, you're mistaken, my friend. He's just a puppet someone else is controlling. I don't know. Maybe. Itchy Elbow says, I can't see with these glasses on. Watch Taxi Driver on a rainy day at 2 a.m. Perfection. That's the only time I watch Taxi Driver, is at 2 a.m. on a rainy day. Just a seedy, great film that I almost agree with too much. Travis Bickle. That's a man who knew what he was talking about. Was he a little bit crazy? Sure, but he had the best intentions. Hayden Selwood says, what do you think of the British band Oasis? I don't know. I'd have to hear their music. I'm sure I have. I don't know. I haven't heard of them. Or if I have, I don't remember who they are. Michelangelo says, hey, John, are you happy for comic book movies? We got James Gunn taking over DC and Henry Cavill's back. Hopes for Batflick to come back. I'm hoping Batflick comes back, too, to make a solo Batman movie, because that was the biggest waste of potential that could have been, should have been, but we never got for some odd reason. Yeah, the James Gunn thing I talked about on the last live show. By the way, we have more spam bots in here. Yay! Yeah, I talked about this on the last live show. To me, it's... I'm going to put that user in timeout. To me, the fact that James Gunn is taking over, it's good that DC is saying, okay, we have someone in charge who's actually going to have a direction to go. That's a great thing. But James Gunn, I lost a little faith in him as a director, especially when it comes to comic book films, with the last Suicide Squad movie. He had full creative control of that film, and that's what he decided to do. To me, it didn't really feel like a real movie. And some of his creative choices, the things he does for the sake of a joke, I think inhibits him as a director and as a storyteller. Like just some of the gags he does. It's almost like Family Guy skits where it's so abrupt. It's like, oh, that's the joke because he was squished by a giant fucking starfish. No, I don't want to see that. But to him, that's funny. I don't know. So James Gunn is honestly, for me, hit or miss sometimes. Hopefully he has a clearer vision going forward. But if his vision is like the Suicide Squad movie that came out last year, does that give you a lot of faith? It doesn't me. I don't think that was a very good movie. And by the way, thanks to all 299 of you watching. All right. The next one comes from Hayden. Or no, we already answered that. Mark Hickey. Okay. John, what did you watch Halloween night? I answered that earlier. I watched Poltergeist, and then I watched some WWE wrestling because I took a gummy and it just felt right. I started off with something nice and friendly, Hocus Pocus. Oh, we did watch Hocus Pocus as trick-or-treaters were coming because I didn't want to terrify them. We did watch it, actually. Went to a classic horror Halloween 1978 and finished with something crazy barbarian. I agree, Halloween, the holiday is dying. Indeed it is, which is really sad to me. People are just so weird nowadays. I saw Barbarian in theaters. I have a review. It was pretty good. I don't think it's like a horror film I would go back and rewatch often, but it was decent. Gus Babington says, you can rent a night at Buffalo Bill's house in Perryopolis, Pennsylvania. Flick trip? Wait. Okay, wait. What? Okay. You can rent Buffalo Bill's house for a night? Now, I know the house in the movie, but I assume that the basement was a set that they built somewhere. So does the real house have a basement? If it does, oh yeah, we're going. We're going there. Because I want to be Buffalo Bill for next Halloween. I'm just putting it out there. It puts the candy in the basket. Is that a real... I'm looking into that. MKF30 says, you think we'll ever see Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter or DC versus Marvel? DC versus Marvel, the movie? Probably not. Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter, the movie? I think maybe if they could figure out the legalities, I think that could be a thing. That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? I mean, I know we're getting a new Mortal Kombat movie. Imagine if you threw some... But there's almost so much lore in Mortal Kombat itself, you don't really need the Street Fighter thing, but maybe one day they could have a crossover. The smart thing would be to make that happen, but first you got to make 2 good standalone movies and then have them culminate and have that final showdown. So, but I would like to see that. Travis Mitchell says, hope you're well, John. I bought your camera a while ago and inadvertently caught a criminal on film while using it, resulting in his arrest. No joke. What? I remember you bought my Canon. What was it? Was it a 70D? It was a Canon something. I hope you enjoyed the camera. Where do you have this video on YouTube? DM me a link or something, man. I'll check it out. But I got to see it now. Martin says, do you worry about Deadpool 3 now that Disney owns it and they have been infecting the woke virus? I don't know. Not really. I stopped caring about that whole aspect of cinema a long time ago. I'm not surprised by it anymore. I just come to expect it. And I just hope it's like, it doesn't inhibit the story. Sometimes when you have like a political message you have to get out by virtue signaling in your movie, and then the story stops to go, see, we did that. Don't cancel us, everybody. Ha ha. That to me is like, if you have to stop the story and the pacing of the movie to mention something that doesn't have any place in it, that's a crime against humanity to me. And now if it has a natural place in the story and it flows and it makes sense, sure, throw it in there. Why not? What was the question though? Oh, Deadpool. I don't know. I mean, Deadpool 2 wasn't all that great. So, I mean, I don't think Disney can mess it up too much. Hopefully it'll be good. I've heard that they're going to keep it rated R. So we'll see. I'm sure it'll be the most lighthearted R rating ever, but the fact that Hugh Jackman's coming back as Wolverine, that to me is the most exciting thing about the new Deadpool movie. Ender Sandoval says, "Hey John, I'm sorry to be the one to ask you this, but the world deserves to know. What is your favorite love scene in a movie?" Oh, it's an American Psycho. Don't just look at it, eat it. And then you look at the camera, and then you flex. That's the best love scene of all time. What are you talking about? Or you could go with the scene in Titanic where the sweaty hand goes up against the foggy window, and it smears down. And before all that, "Where to, miss?" "To the stars." I remember being a kid in the theater watching that with my mom, just feeling really uncomfortable. And then, as a fun story about Titanic, let me tell you something. When I watched that in theaters as a kid, when Jack was paid 10 cents to draw Rose, you guys know the scene I'm talking about. Now, I was always into sketching and drawing and cartooning and things like that as a kid and into high school. And then I guess I went to college for it, more or less. But that always inspired me because I'm like, wait, women will pay me to draw them naked one day. Like, they pay for this. So, come to find out, not completely accurate. But anyway, Jack Dawson was a great artist. The next one comes from Sam M. "I see all these people talking about woke issues in your comments. Thoughts? Are you a political person or not so much? You strike me as a libertarian type." I don't like to put names on it. I'm a guy who, I like to use common sense. You know, I don't like to go to the right or the left. I'm just like in the middle where whatever policy makes the most sense and can benefit humanity and society for the best going forward, let's go that direction. I think sometimes we get so caught up into one side or the other side that sometimes both sides have terrible ideas and sometimes both sides have great ideas. And if only we could just say, you know what, who gives a shit if you're blue or red? How about we just take the best idea from both sides, put it in the middle, utilize that idea because it's about the people, right? And utilize that and make it better for everyone. But we're so caught up in all these little details that we can't see the bigger picture. So, yeah, to me, politics are just about corporate greed. It's never going to be for the benefit of the people. Like 3% of the time it might be, but they're just lying to you. They just want your vote, and then they're going to steal your tax money, and society is decaying under our feet. But hopefully, one day a big asteroid comes and just cleanses everything, and we can start over. All right, the next question. Let me put my glasses back on. All right. The next one comes from Patrice Chaswick. "I really enjoyed the Infinity War review you did with Chris and Matt. What was your favorite review to film, like with them or with Stuckman or what? Or overall of all time?" I go back to it. The most hyped, the most energetic, the most angry I've ever been in any review I've ever done was for Fantastic Four Stick. I was the most jacked I've ever been in my life. Every vein in my body is pulsating. I am screaming the whole video. I'm ready to break my camera in half and just scream. To me, that's the most memorable review. There's been, I'm sure there's more along the way. I just can't remember right now. A lot of reviews to me aren't fun to film sometimes, to be honest, because they're almost tedious. But that one to me, I remember just like running in my room and just screaming at my camera for 20 minutes. And I was like, ooh, that's some good shit. So probably for me, that's the most memorable one I can actually recall talking about. Let's see. Having Phil Collins in the background helps, absolutely. Okay, the next one comes from Jay Brown. The Island 3-movie challenge. 1 horror movie. So I gotta have 3 movies on an island. I'm gonna go with Back to the Future. I'm gonna go with Nightcrawler and Forrest Gump. No, hear me out. Now, I know you said have a horror film in there, and I did. Because there are moments in Forrest Gump that are truly terrifying if you really look at it from a different perspective. It's terrifying shit, man. Like imagine, like think about the ending to Forrest Gump. Really, really think about Ginny, that piece of human degenerate trash who just ruins this man's life, who's willing to give her everything, infecting her child at birth with whatever disease she had. Some people say it's this or that. The book, it says it was hepatitis. But anyway, think about how dark that ending really is if little Forrest got what his mom had. Think about that. That's a dark ending, but it's so happy, and you see a little feather floating off into the sky. Then that's a dark ending. No one talks about how dark the ending is. That's a dark ending. That's a horror film if you think about it. All right. Ice says it's his birthday. Well, happy birthday, Ice. 3 ice cubes, no more, no less. Mark Hickey says, John, I'm still drunk, but how about this? You make your own Nightcrawler, but instead of filming accidents, it's you filming flick trips. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing right now. I've always thought of it that way. That's why the movie Nightcrawler connects with me. In a weird way, yes, I'm not filming accidents and selling it to the news, but I'm filming these incidences in my own life, and I'm putting it on YouTube. In a weird way, I relate to Lou Bloom in more ways than I'll ever tell you. There's been some things I've done for different shots and videos or vlog videos that I'm not proud to say, but I had to do it for the sake of your entertainment. So I'll just leave it there. But yeah, man, that's how I've always looked at it. Martin says, I know you're not a Leto Joker fan. I'm the minority that does like him. What do you think of Leto Joker in the Snyder Cut Justice League? I mean, he shows up for 2 fucking minutes and does some weird pervy shit. And they filmed that in Zack Snyder's driveway with a green screen. I mean, but I would have preferred that version that we got previously. I think that was the better version of Leto's Joker, but is it what I wanted to see from a Joker character? No, not really. It's not my favorite take on him. All right, you guys are killing it. I'm doing my best to keep up here, and we are falling way behind. Thank you guys for the questions, though, and thanks for watching right now. How many people do we have in here right now? Like 8 million? I'm sure it's like 300, but I like to pretend. We have 298. All right. Well, thanks for all 298 of you guys watching right now. And and real quick in the normal chat over here, let me know where you guys are watching from. Tell me the city and state you're watching. I'd like to know. Okay. This one comes from Mista47. We need a weird science movie night, laughing my ass off. Weird science is good stuff, man. It really is. I wish they made more movies like that, or more buddy movies like Superbad. You know, Superbad came out in like 2007, and I was thinking about it today, and I was like, wow, they just don't make good movies like that anymore, like comedy movies. I agree. We need more. We need more like Ferris Bueller Day Off type movies. Really, we need to resurrect John Hughes and have him direct more movies. Okay, who do we got here? We got Curtis from Ohio. We got DJ Run from East Pennsylvania. Michael Parton from Frisco, Texas. Kelly from Akron. Hey, I used to live in Akron, Ohio. I lived there for like 2 years. We got Joshua from Tampa. We got Canada. We got Costa Rica. San Jose, California, Seattle, but I'm from Saudi. Ooh, I went to Seattle a few months ago. Seattle's a nice looking place. James Doshier says, I'm from Riverside, California. The White Skull says Colorado. Oh, Manchester, UK. Ben, okay. New Zealand, Florida, Toronto. Isn't it crazy? It's just bizarre. Like, thanks to the internet, we can all be here right now. And what are we doing with all these advancements in technology? Well, I'm talking about Jared Leto's Joker. But thanks nevertheless. We got New Zealand, New York, Staten Island, MKF30. Andy Sanchez says from California. Well, and by the way, guys, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So All walks of life here tonight. All right, let's keep going. Jesus Solicito says, or Jesus, I'm going to call you Jesus, though. If you ask, sorry if I asked this already, thoughts on Black Adam? I did a live reaction after the movie on this channel a few weeks ago. I'll say it again. Mildly entertaining, better than I thought. The first act, I thought the movie was going to be way worse than it ended up being. But once the Justice Society was introduced into the film, I found it highly more interesting, more entertaining. And if anything, it needed the Justice Society because Black Adam himself, really one note in a way. Like I like him as a character. I thought The Rock, it was one of his better performances in a long time, and I like the anti-hero vibe, but thank God the Justice Society was in that movie to spice it up. And say what you will about the Justice Society, and I think they might have technically come before some of the Marvel characters, but they all feel like B-rate versions of Marvel characters. Like Atom Smasher feels like the shitty version of Ant-Man. Dr. Pierce Brosnan feels like Dr. Fate, feels like, you know, Doctor Strange. They all, and then Hawkman clearly is a direct comparison to Falcon, except I actually prefer Hawkman way more because he actually has superpowers. To me, Falcon, are we still calling Falcon Falcon, or is he Captain America? I don't know what the hell. To me, he will never be Captain America. He's Falcon, okay? He's a dude who has mechanical wings, all right? That's what he can do. But for some odd reason, now he can take a ass whooping without any like actual punishment resulting from it. Like he didn't need super soldier serum anymore. You just need the title of Captain America, and somehow you're instantly infected with super soldier serum because of the title. It's like, no. You didn't go through the procedure that Steve Rogers did. You're just a dude who can fly, okay? Did I answer the question? I hope I did. Taylor Goodwin says, do your impression of Philip Seymour Hoffman from Mission Impossible 3. Okay. I'm gonna hurt her. I'm gonna hurt her bad. And scene. Thank you for that. The next one comes from Andy Sanchez. Hey, John, have you noticed the SNES games are getting more expensive every year? I like your shirt, by the way. I'm glad I kept my N64. Yeah, I didn't. By the way, I got the Zombies Ate My Neighbors t-shirt on, which should have been made into a series on one of the streaming series. Like, why is this not a movie or a series? Why is it could have been that would be what I want, right? That's what I want to see. But just like squirt guns killing zombies. No, I have a classic SNES. It's got a few games on it that are okay, that I like, but I wish it had more. Every once in a while, when I want to relive my childhood, I jump on it for a few minutes and play it. It's relaxing. But I didn't keep any of my old consoles. Maybe one day, but getting back into it's so much work. You got to buy the console and all the games, and then maybe at some point I'll get back into it. If I was going to collect any system, it would probably be like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know. I like the N64, but I'm probably more of an SNES guy. If I was going to collect older games, it'd probably be the SNES. DJ Run says, would you rather watch the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and Dominion back to back, or watch the World Series? The funny answer would have been, say, to watch a World Series, because watching a guy throw a baseball is more, but that's not the truth. I'd probably rather watch Dominion. I can't watch baseball. The thought of even talking about it makes me want to go to bed and end the live stream right now. So let's not talk about baseball, please. Andy Sanchez says, John, did you ever play Silent Hill on PS1? I think I played one of the Silent Hill games for like 2 hours one time. That's all I can recall. But it was scary. I liked it, but I didn't know what to do, so I gave up. Michael Parton says, he says, hey, John, super hype for the Gunverse like me? I mean, if the last Suicide Squad movie gets you super hyped, It didn't me though, man. But I will say this about James Gunn. He seems like a guy who's willing to listen to other people's ideas and let them culminate into something. And if anything, I think that's good. I think he's like a creative guy. He's one of those directors where you give him too much freedom and he gets a little self-indulgent. Like, at least that's the way I see Suicide Squad. Walter says, "Hey, John, what are your thoughts on 70 millimeter format?" Oh man, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. I wish everything was shot in 70 millimeter. You'd have the best visual cinematic experience of your entire life. That's why I like Tarantino. You watch movies like Hateful Eight, he used 70 millimeter. That's why those scenes of just people talking and dialogue in a cabin look like it's so immersive and visceral, and it's beautiful to look at. You know, just the scope that he shoots his films. It's an expensive format to shoot it in, and that's why you don't see it a lot, and digital is taking over. But 70 millimeter, it instantly makes everything look better. I wish everything was shot on it. And it always translates to some of the best looking Blu-rays, our 4K Blu-rays. Itchy Elbow says, thoughts on Andy Signore, his fall and rise. Yeah, I've kept up with Andy a little bit. He texted me. We started texting a few years ago, and I was just like, dude, what happened? And he sort of explained the situation. And now he's sort of like found his niche in talking about pulp culture type stuff on the internet. And good for him, you know, because the movie thing is so saturated. So he found something that worked, and he dove into it. And, you know, he kept up. I remember seeing some of his videos on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, and like every video he made about that was like 1 million views, 1 million views, 1 million views. I'm like, shit, should I be talking about this? But in the grand scheme of it, I just didn't have it in me. I was like, I don't really care enough. I don't care. But yeah, he found his niche that worked. As far as his whole situation, I mean, shit happens, I guess. I mean, does that mean he's a good guy for doing it? No, but you know, I don't know. To me, he's the way my relationship with Andy has always been good. I've never had a problem with him. I know a lot of people have, and sometimes Andy might be able to rub you the wrong way just because he has a very hyperactive personality. But yeah, you know, when it came to like doing the Screen Junkies and movie fights thing, Andy was always the one who invited me out there to be on those shows. He was the one who gave me an opportunity to host my own show on the Screen Junkies network a couple years ago. So I've always got along with him. I've never had a problem. The next one comes from Tears of the Drag Queen. That's a great name. Your beef with Sam Worthington and Brie Larson is hilarious. You get visibly upset anytime their movies get mentioned. Anyways, what's your favorite zombie movie? I thought you were going to say Rob Zombie, and you were going to see me get visually upset once again. Yeah, I would just say, as far as Sam Worthington goes, he's got to be so lucky he got cast in Avatar. So lucky. Favorite zombie movie? Man, it's tough. There's so someone mentioned Zack Snyder a minute ago, and I will just say Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead, I think, is like one of the better remakes of zombie movies in a very long time. And even that came out in like 2003 or 4. So what's that? Almost 20 years ago. I'm trying to think of like newer zombie movies. Train to Busan. What was it called? Train to Busan. That was a good zombie flick from South Korea. I liked. If you want to like go Day of the Dead, things like that, sure. But yeah, I wish they made a Zombies Ate My Neighbors movie. Like that's what I want to see. The next one comes from Jamin. Howdy, John. Missed your last live stream due to the fact I'm a normal human being who goes to sleep at 10 p.m. Do you still get scared by watching movies or paranormal things? YouTube ghost videos still get me every time. Sometimes like things creep me out. Really, it's not like the fantastical paranormal elements never freak me out, but it's like real life serial killers, like things like the BTK killer. Like a dude can just like come in your back door at night, tie you and your family up, sodomize all of you, hang you from a pipe in the basement, wearing a mask, having a gun, and there's nothing you can do about this. Like this, people like this exist, and they can enter your house anytime they actually want to do these things to you. Things like that creep me out. Yes, they do. Do I sleep with a knife beside my bed? Yes. Do I want to buy a firearm at some point? Yes, I do. But yeah, things like that are more creepy to me. That's what I get more paranoid about. And on a quick side note, and by the way, thanks to everybody watching right now. We have 328 of you beautiful people watching. But I'll tell you this. When I first moved to this new house, we had internet installed. And the guy who came to install my internet was really, really weird. He gave me vibes of the BTK killer. He looked very like calm. He was very normal looking, but behind his eyes, I could see he's done some menacing, weird things. Just like the BTK killer. You ever see somebody who looks so straight-laced, but you just know there's something lurking within them that you don't trust? That's what the guy who installed my internet was, all right? So every time I had a question or something, he'd be like, yes, sir, that is what I'm going to do. I'm like, ooh, that's how you talk when you tie up and sodomize people, isn't it? But anyway, he came here and he was like, hey, can you help me hold this wire? And he was like asking me to do weird things. And I was like, yeah, whatever, man, here. And I was like, I left the room to do something else. And then he installed this box outside of my house to like mount the internet wires into. And I went out there and I was like, it's a little crooked, man. And I could see a switch flipped in his brain. Like me saying that offended him deeply. And I knew inside he was thinking about 18 ways how he could torture and kill me. I could see it in his eyes. I was like, it's a little bit crooked. He's like, well, that's how it's supposed to be because the template did this. I'm like, yeah, but it still looks crooked, so it's not right. And I could just see his fingers pulsating with anger and rage. But I kind of liked it. I like confrontation. For some odd reason, it keeps me alive. And for the next 3 weeks after that, once he'd left, I literally stayed up at night expecting him to come in my back door to kill me. I truly believed he was going to do this. So anyway, if this ever does happen and I do die and they don't know who did it, it was the guy who installed my AT&T internet. Okay? That's who did it. Actually, I have Verizon internet. That's who did it, though. Can we move on? All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that story. That's what you've come here for, I hope. Shit. What's the next question, man? Night King 01 Night King 01 says, just watch Sleepy Hollow over Halloween. Thoughts on it? I like Sleepy Hollow. It's a good Halloween movie. One of the not one of my favorite Johnny Depp, Tim Burton movies, but damn good. The vibe is great. You have Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman. You know, I'm going to take your head or something. It's gory practical effects and hilariously dark. Also, Christopher Walken as has the serrated teeth. Yeah, it's a good movie, man. I like the little town of Sleepy Hollow. It's something about that just like, I wish they could recreate that in the woods for like Halloween time and you could go stay there for like the weekend. It would be pretty cool. Itchy Elbow says, would you rather be a TV star or a movie star? Well, the thing is, if you're a TV star and you get put into a really good series, you could be working for years and years on this series with some great character development. So maybe the TV thing. But then again, if they came to me and said, hey, do you want to play the new, like, I don't know, name a shitty, like, super B-rate superhero that could be in, like, the new Avengers movie. If they came to me and said, hey, do you want to be this guy? I could be in, like, 2 Marvel movies and literally go to, like, fan Comic-Con events the rest of my life signing autographs for $29.99. So I could make a literal career for the rest of my life by starring in one mediocre superhero movie. So either one is a win-win in my opinion. But I'd probably pick the movie. Michael Parton says, I'm happy we're finally getting a new Friday the 13th, despite it being a series, though I'd really prefer a new movie. I think the series could be cool, though. If you do it right, you pace it right. Now, the thing is with the series, if you make like an 8-part Friday the 13th series, a majority of that runtime isn't going to be Jason Voorhees killing people. No. That's going to be very few and far between. You're going to focus on all these boring characters that get slaughtered one by one. And we're at the mercy of how good those characters are going to be. Because you know they're not going to be well-written characters like Game of Thrones or something. No, they're going to be like slopped together, shitty characters made for millennial generations, and they're talking about like Cardi B songs or something. I don't know. That could be the detriment to that series. Just like instantly forgettable characters because you know they're just going to die anyway, so they don't really matter. So in regards to that, yeah, I think Friday the 13th could be a better movie than it is a series. But Nightmare on Elm Street would actually make a really good series. Like, there's more meat on the bone to explore that than there is with Friday the 13th. I don't know. The next one comes from Say What? John, where do you get your sense of humor from? Was it cartoons or the internet? You're one funny SOB. Thanks for all the laughs. I think I got it from my family. Honestly, I think my dad's side of the family sort of shares a very similar sense of humor. In my family, we've always been able to laugh in the most tragic of times. I will say that. It's like a survival instinct. So probably there. And in my childhood, I spent a lot of time by myself, entertaining myself and watching movies. And I especially watched a lot of 1980s movies with like a lot of deadpan humor. And ever since I was young, I was like, that's how I want to talk when I get older. So I picked up on things like that. Maybe that's where I got it from. More or less, 90% of the time when I'm talking, it's just to entertain myself. The next one comes from Itchy Elbows. Do you still talk to Crazy Jason? How am I 20 minutes behind? Oh, I know, because I told a story about the internet killer guy who came to my house. No, not really. It's not because I don't want to. He's a reclusive dude who disappears for years at a time. That's the best way I can describe it, man. Taylor Goodwin says, how about the love scene in Watchmen? Ooh, yeah, with Spectre or Silk Spectre. Yeah, that's a good scene. James Dozier says, if you were Patrick Swayze, what role would you be? Probably Bodhi from Point Break, The Endless Summer. He's a guy with a good heart, but he just wants to live an endless summer and he has to rob banks to finance it. I agree with it. He's a free spirit. Double Chief says, I saw Tar last night and it's top tier cinema. Tar? What is Tar? Is that a new movie? I've not heard of that. I still want to see The Whale with Brendan Fraser, which comes out in December. I really want to see that. Gus Babington says, more about renting the Buffalo Bill house. There is a well in the basement. What? Whoa. Okay. How much does somebody look up how much it costs to rent the Buffalo Bill house and let me know. Why is Black Panther a girl? Because they had to make more money. I don't know. His sister, I guess, becomes Black Panther at some point. But the thing about Black Panther is, and the great thing about the character is anyone can take up the mantle of Black Panther. So it does lend itself to be anyone to some degree, which I think is a cool concept. I'm hoping that his sister takes on the mantle momentarily, but by the end of the film, someone else takes up the mantle and proceeds with being the Black Panther. And his sister, Shuri, she can kind of be the sidekick tech expert who helps control everything behind the scenes. I think that's the dynamic I would prefer. Okay, the next one comes from Gus Babington. Oh, we already answered that. Hayden Selwood says, thoughts on Sean Chandler? Sean's a nice guy. I've talked to him a few times. We've DM'd a few times. I did his podcast. Nice guy. He definitely works hard. He's addicted to making new videos. He likes to be as topical as he can. He likes making ranked videos. He will rank a ranked video that he's already ranked and he's ranked again. So yeah, always a nice guy. Baron says, I watched Aliens for the first time and loved it. What a phenomenal science fiction action movie. Yeah. The thing about, are you talking about Aliens or Alien? Aliens, yeah, man. Aliens is definitely the action-packed version of Alien. Great fun time, man. They just don't make movies like that enough anymore, and it's like simplistic but effective. And you have these like, the thing about movies used to have characters in them, like character moments, where only that certain actor could portray that character that's written on the script to that degree. Now what we have in Hollywood is we have generic people who all give the same generic performance, and they just plug them into these characters that you instantly forget who they are. We don't have like character actors anymore. Everyone's just like generic guy number 2. And it's really sad, isn't it? Like, you don't have enough Jeff Goldblums or Nicolas Cages or Morgan Freemans. You don't have these like memorable actors who take this character and elevate them. You know, now we have bland guy playing bland guy. I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me how much the Buffalo Bill house is to rent. Because I want to go there. I will go there. And I'm going to make a lampshade out of nipples. The next one comes from Faisal H. Did you know Barry Keoghan, I always say his name messed up, Keoghan, auditioned to play the Riddler in the Batman, but they recasted him at the last second and made him the Joker in the third weird post-credit scene. Yeah, probably not my first choice for the Joker. Now, if you're going to make a spin-off series like Arkham for HBO Max, make him the Joker, that's fine. But in the cinematic universe, I don't think he's up to par to do that. And he's too young, man. He's just too young. Like, I could see him playing the Riddler, but not the Joker. He's too young for the role. I think it's a miscast. There's probably a good reason they cut it out of the movie. Fan of Film says, John, are you excited for Avatar 2? I am excited for Avatar 2, and I will just say I want to see that shit. Light up my eyeballs, give me this immersive experience. Maybe the story is lackluster, but I don't give a shit. It's James Cameron. James Cameron, no matter what, he will perfect the quality of the movie you're going to get. He will give you your money's worth. And after the fact, to be cool on the internet, you're going to say, oh, that story was pretty lame. But when you're watching that shit, you loved it. I saw a smile on your face. It made you feel like a child again as you watched it eating popcorn. And that's all I hope to feel. You know, the first Avatar, I still enjoy it. I occasionally watch it. I love going to another planet that's bright and vivid with blue aliens making love under a tree where they plug their tails together. That's fine by me. Whatever you want to do. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so yeah, I'm excited. I am excited to see the new Avatar. I really am. It's one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I'm hoping it's good because we're getting like 17 more movies after that. And we've only been waiting 13 years. Okay, here it is. Rates start for the Buffalo Bill house at $6.95 a night for the Buffalo Bill. Holy shit, $6.95 a night? Oh, gosh. It better come with someone in the basement. That's all I'm saying. They better have someone in that well when I get there. $6.95 a night. All right, I'll tell you what. If we all go in on this and we split it up, we could make it happen. I'm just putting it out there. MKF30 says, who's smarter would win between Hannibal and Jigsaw? I'm going to go with Hannibal Lecter. I'm just a better character. Jigsaw to me is just a dude who died 14 times. I don't know. Technically, I mean, Jigsaw at the point where the movies have gone, he would have had to been able to predict the future. Like, this man had time traveling abilities, so he could predict the future to do the shit he was doing. And what did he do with these crazy abilities? Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll make the most convoluted traps to kill people. Oh, that's what I'll do. 90% of the time they die in my traps. Like, Jesus, man. Imagine if you just took that ability and did anything else. At some point, it's just like, not everyone's responsible for your death, you know? The next one comes from Matthew Castellanos. Hey, John, I rewatched Thor Love and Thunder yesterday, and man, that movie feels lacking because of its fast pace and weird humor. Are you excited for Black Panther Wakanda Forever? I am excited to see it. I should get an early screening this Monday. As far as like the new Thor movie, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. It feels like it was missing things. And I can only assume that they made that they made it at the end of the pandemic. And it just felt like there was like a miscommunication a lot of the time. And they were sort of just like rushing it out there. And they had to make a movie for the sake of making a movie in the Marvel universe. So it just feels like the least amount of effort in the quickest way possible to shit out a new movie. That's what it felt like to me. Like I'm pretty sure if like people weren't working over the internet and they had to make shortcuts and different things, I think it would have been a different movie. But I think it was just the coming off the pandemic. That's why like Doctor Strange, the new Doctor Strange movie and the new Thor movie, they both feel like they're lacking a lot of things. They feel very mumbled and slapped together. Especially like the production of them. It just feels like rushed. And that's because they have a quota to fill. They got to get these 2 movies out so they can get to the next 2 movies. So sometimes sacrifices have to be made, but unfortunately, we had to watch those sacrifices. Obed Orzaga says, describe the perfect nachos. Just hot, warm nachos with some cheese, a little bit of meat on there, some spicy jalapenos, man. Oh, give it to me now. Now I want nachos, damn you. The next one comes from Bruce Cook. Hey, John, which would be worse, watching the remake of Point Break or 50 Shades of Bleep Marathon? Probably watching the new Point Break remake, because it's just like you look at how much potential they could have done, and then that's what you get. You get like 2 boring guys in a GoPro commercial. So yeah, I'd probably rather watch 50 Shades of Shit. Night King 01 says, have you ever seen any hammer horror? What the fuck is hammer horror? What kind of subgenre is that? Okay, what is it? If you want movies with cool 50s horror atmosphere and Christopher Lee as Dracula, it's awesome. Okay. Now I know I'm sorry. Now I know what you're talking about. Wasn't there a big box set put out of like hammer horror movies? I swear I had that or something like that at one point. To be honest with you, like that genre, I like the idea of it. I like that it exists, but it's not something I'd actually go back and like spend hours of time rewatching. Fan of Film says, would you watch a Back to the Future spinoff about Marty's uncle Joey? Also, rank Back to the Future. The first one, this is the best, but the second one to me is almost more entertaining than the first one. And then the third one's always the third one, but still mildly entertaining. Just the shitty love story with Doc Brown and Sarah. That's my least favorite thing about it. So a spinoff with Uncle Joey who's in jail, that could be interesting. You could. I mean, imagine if Uncle Joey was actually like Nicolas Cage. And then you follow his life in jail. And then at one point he encounters Doc Brown, and Doc Brown's like, Joey, we can fix your life. And then they go back and try to fix all his wrongdoings. That could be good. I don't know. Sure. Double Chief says, new Drake and number 21 Savage album dropping tomorrow. Not really a big fan of either, man, but hey. Bucketeer says, hello, John. Event Horizon, what a movie. What movie scared you as a kid but loved it later in life? That's a great question. Let me think on that for a minute. A movie that scared me as a kid, but I later loved in life. We talked about Buffalo Bill quite a bit tonight. Silence of the Lambs always did creep me out as a kid. But I later grew to appreciate it for being like a quality piece of cinema. Trying to think of something a little more terrifying, though. Gosh. Maybe it's the scene in Poltergeist 2 where the creepy old guy comes up to the door and he's like, "Let me in. Let me in." That always terrified the shit out of me as a kid. And anytime someone ever came to our door, I would just close it on their face. I just assumed they were evil. And I still do. Those might be a few. Those might be a few. Double Chief says, "Prey or Predator, sue me." Oh, you think Prey is better than Predator? Good for you, man. I thought Prey was like a generic rehash. But Obetter Zaga says, "Describe the perfect..." We already answered that. Johnny says, "Thoughts on Misery, and have you seen The Outsiders?" Funny enough, we actually did just rewatch Misery a few weeks ago. I forgot so. And talk about a very, very simple movie. But Kathy Bates in Misery, oh man, what a damn good performance. But here's what I didn't like about Misery is like this famous writer goes missing. They find his car, but they don't even go to near, like they don't find his body. And they're just like, "Oh, he's dead." And like they don't go to nearby houses really looking for him until like weeks and weeks later where only one old deputy town sheriff does. But yeah, it's a great movie. And when he gets his legs hit with the sledgehammer, holy shit. That hurt my ankles watching it again. But yeah, Misery's a good watch. If you haven't seen it, definitely do so. The Outsiders, I love The Outsiders. I remember reading the books as a kid. I loved the movie. I like all the actors in the movie. Ralph Macchio movie, Patrick Swayze, Matt Dillon, Tom Cruise, Emilio Estevez. Damn good lineup of actors. Yeah, I like The Outsiders. Ponyboy stayed golden. Yeaman D says, "Hey John, happy late Halloween. Thoughts on the new Brian Fuller Friday the 13th prequel series? His idea seems to be about his mom's life from what he said." Yeah, the thought of watching Friday the 13th prequel series, which we did vaguely discuss earlier, not only are we going to watch, we're not going to get the interesting aspect of Friday the 13th, which is Jason Voorhees. We're going to get his mom. And maybe they're showcasing like her with a young Jason growing up and he's being tormented and whatever. I don't know. But I don't know if I want to watch an entire series based on his mom. Because to me, the first Friday the 13th is like the least interesting one. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could be good. I don't know. Michael Campbell says, "John, have you ever listened to the Man of Steel soundtrack in the gym? Always hypes me up. Lightweight, baby." Yeah, I've talked about that many of times, actually. Go back and watch some videos from 2013. The Superman score by Zimmer, where it has that really uplifting moment in the score. Oh, like that instantly. Every time I was working out in the gym, I'd always time my heaviest reps for when that song kicked in with the climax, because that made me feel like Superman. And then my lower back started to hurt, and I was like, "Oh, I'm not Superman, and I can't fly." But yeah, I listen to all Zimmer scores in the gym, like Gladiator, The Dark Knight Rises, the Bane theme. Have you watched Andor? Yeah, I've watched the last episode I watched is where he's stuck in the holding prison facility, which I think was one of the better episodes of the whole series. So I haven't watched anything after that. And the weird thing about Andor is I get the episodes like a week ahead of time with Disney Plus screeners because I'm a YouTube critic, baby. Whatever that means nowadays. But I get the episodes ahead of time, but I don't actually watch them ahead of time. I'd rather watch them when they come out on Disney Plus. But I will say I'm mad at myself because I had an early sneak peek at the new Willow series that comes out at the end of this month, and I could have watched the first 3 episodes last week, and I literally forgot to do it. And now I can't. So, John used to watch Terrifier 2. It's crazy. I've heard all kinds of mixed things about Terrifier 2. I watched part of the first one, and it just didn't do it for me. I don't know. It just maybe the second one's better. Is the second Terrifier 2 way better than the first? Like, does it actually feel like a real movie? Willow looks awful. Yeah, but I want to see it. Like, it's a weird, guilty pleasure. I'm going to answer a few more questions and then I'm going to wrap up this live show. But I do want to thank all 312 of you still watching. I'm going to answer a few more questions, so don't go anywhere. They could be juicy, great questions, so we'll see. Okay, we got one here. And by the way, Faisal H, thanks for the very generous super chat earlier, man. Thank you so much. Shout out to you, man. And that was with the Riddler Batman question. So thanks to you once again. And thanks to all of you guys just for watching. The super chats do help. You don't have to do that. I try to go to the normal chat anytime I can, but just watching my stupid face, it helps. So thank you guys. Are you looking forward to The Whale? Yeah, we talked about that. Absolutely. Brendan Fraser making a comeback. Darren Aronofsky. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I like movies that are sort of dark and depressing, and I've heard that's the tone, so hopefully it's good. Willow is my pillow. Absolutely, man. I'd make him my pillow any day. I bet he's soft. He's small enough to fit up. He's small enough to be a pillow, and I'm sure he's soft too. And nurturing. That's what you want from a pillow. JF Forever King says, does anyone care about DCEU? A lot of people do. I've lost faith in it overall, but I am looking forward to it hopefully being better. Anytime we get a new comic book movie, I'm going to be there to watch it, right? If it's good or bad, I'll be there. It does seem like DC is getting their shit together and at least opening up the universe to make it entertaining. So I'm hoping we go that route. I still think it's a mess, and I definitely... The thing with DC is they still don't know how to, like... Other than like their main characters like Superman or Batman, everyone else, they don't know how to get across the character. Like they don't know how to like develop a character to make you care and make them likable and then go forward. They always like shove like some generic guy down your throat. That sounds weird. And then like say, hey, here's generic superhero guy. Do you guys want to see a sequel with generic superhero guy? And you go, well, not really. But if you made me actually like the guy and give me a little bit of humanity with him, then maybe I would. So the whole Justice Society, right? Everyone just felt like cliche superheroes. You didn't really know any of them. And I think that's the biggest detriment to DC. That's what Marvel does well, and DC doesn't quite do yet very well with their like ensemble heroes. So hopefully going forward, they improve that. That would be my biggest issue with them. Double Chief says, Vanilla Ice, play concert near me tomorrow. Should I go? Absolutely. Only if he plays Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. John, do you still watch WWE? Yes, I do. I love it. Guilty pleasure. Bruce Cook says, is Willow a remake of the hideous 1988 movie? No, I think it's like a sequel of events, I believe. Dog29J, Shelby Elks. I don't know anything about Shelby Elks, man. The Angry Gamer says Hollywood needs talented writers and directors. Always helpful, right? What you need is less studio executives getting in the way of art. That's what you need. Thoughts on True Lies? Phenomenal movie. I wish it hit 4K. Still waiting. I love it. One of my favorite James Cameron movies, actually. Walter says, what movie do you love has phenomenal pacing and a movie you love that has terrible pacing? I would say The Batman has terrible pacing and I love it. A phenomenal movie, a movie I love that has phenomenal pacing. Silence of the Lambs has phenomenal pacing. Forrest Gump has phenomenal pacing. Back to the Future has phenomenal pacing. The movie Nightcrawler, which is like my overall favorite movie of all time, has great pacing. The story always keeps going, but anytime you need a character moment, the movie stops to give you it, but you don't feel like it ever stops. You feel like, oh man, I'm on the edge of my seat. I want to hear this guy just talk. I'll go to some Tarantino movies that have great pacing. Pulp Fiction, great pacing. I think movies like Django Unchained have pretty good pacing. So those would be a few. Faisal H, man, you're too generous, man. But anyway, we got another one here from Faisal H. Do you like watching drama independent artsy films that usually get nominated for Best Picture at the end of the year? Typically, no. Now, not to say no. When it feels like Oscar bait for the sake of being Oscar bait, and it's one of those films I know no one's going to talk about after it wins the Academy Award that year, I can always get a sense of that movie. I can always sniff those movies out. But sometimes movies that are artsy and do win the Oscar that year or the Academy Award for Best Picture or whatever, sometimes they rightfully deserve so, and they go on to be this great everlasting piece of cinema. Silence of the Lambs, right? We've talked about that many times tonight, but we'll continue. Won like 5 Academy Awards the year it came out. It deserved all 5. It went on to be a classic. It's still great to this day. It's still one of my top 20 movies of all time. Movies like that, I want more of. Movies like Parasite. Hey, South Korea. Yeah, that was sort of a little bit, I wouldn't say artsy, but different. Movies like The Lighthouse. Sort of artsy, but I liked that. Like, it was artsy, but in all the right ways. It didn't feel like, it didn't have this pretentious element to it. But sometimes I've noticed, like, there's a lot of movies that have this, like, heartfelt, artsy vibe to them where it almost feels like a Hallmark movie, but made more cinematic. I've noticed those have been nominated a lot more recently. And I don't like that trend. It's like, yeah, this is a movie no one's going to talk about in 2 weeks, but somehow it's being nominated. Like, what's happening here? It's like movies that are so on the nose. What was the movie called with the family of, it's like a deaf crab fishing family, but the only one who's not deaf is the daughter, and she sings. What was the name of that? Now, I enjoyed watching it, but at times it had a very, like, made-for-TV Hallmark vibe. What was the name of that movie? Have you watched The Bros? Not yet, man. Yeaman D says, I know what your answer is going to be, but thoughts on True Lies TV show. I could dig that. I think that would lend itself to a good TV show. You have a guy who is a spy and an espionage agent, a CIA agent. I could see that working. It depends on who you cast as the character. Like, how do you top Arnold? Who could you cast as the new, like, Arnold for a TV series of that caliber? Like, who could you? I don't know. Yeah, Coda. That's what I'm sorry. Coda is what I was thinking of. Yeaman D says, I already answered that. Hereditary is a thumbs down. Yeah, I watched Hereditary once. Everything was great until the ending. Did Coda win last year? I don't even keep up. I don't remember who wins what. Yeah, Coda. Like, that should not have been Best Picture of the Year. Sorry. Sorry, I misheard. Maybe I'm deaf. Yeah. But who could be a good replacement for Arnold if they made a True Lies series? I'm trying to think of an actor who'd be up to that par. No one mentioned Chris Pratt, please. What do you think of the New World Order? I don't think it's new. I think it's been around for a very long time. It doesn't take much to manipulate society. It takes very little. I mean, look how much a tube of toothpaste cost. We're paying it with a smile on our face. All right. Jake Blair says, how thankful are you for growing up in the 90s? Very thankful. And I don't want to sound like an old, bitter man, even though I am. But it was the perfect time period to, like, still be a kid. You weren't introduced to, like, the internet or too much technology. So you had to, like, hang out with your friends and be creative. And you weren't bombarded with, like, the internet and everything at your fingertips. So you still had to, like, go out and explore things and figure out information for yourself, right? You couldn't just stay at home and be told what everything is. You actually had to formulate your own opinion. I know, it's crazy, right? And then in the early 2000s, like the internet and social media started to come along. And by that point, I was an adult, technically speaking, when like Facebook was a thing. And it was like the perfect time for everything to culminate. It's like I got to be an imaginative child and have adventures. And then by the time I was like an adult, I had social media, but it was like the best of both worlds. Now, in all fairness, do I think back as a kid thinking, man, it would have been pretty fucking cool to have the internet and be able to play like multiplayer online with people when I was like, didn't have any friends to hang out with. Yeah, that would have been really cool. But at the same time, it's because of that I had to like stay up in my room playing with action figures all night to make up like my own storylines. And so, yeah, if anything, the internet's made there's a lack of like social skills nowadays, which is kind of weird. I've noticed that a lot in society. But anyway, yeah, I'm glad I grew up in the 90s, man. Back in the 90s, people could take a joke. Channing Tatum could replace Arnold. You know what? 10 years ago, if you said that, that would be like laughable. But in all fairness, Channing Tatum, he does have like a likability about him. He can do action. He can do comedy. And he's aged just enough that you're right. I actually think Channing Tatum would be I think that wouldn't be a bad casting choice. Akai NG Nye. John, stoked on the live. What movie did you end up showing on Halloween? Yeah, we showed Hocus Pocus and then we watched Poltergeist. So a little bit of both on Halloween. But thanks for the question, man. Bruce Cook says, True Lies, Zac Efron, since he's all bulked up. Man, I can't look at Zac Efron anymore, man. He looks like he looks like a little live action Lego character brought to life. His head's all boxy now. Like his jaw is literally a box. It's an artificial box. I can't look at him. He went from looking like 29 years old to 47 years old with too much plastic surgery. I just can't look at him. Nicolas Cage, yes. We'll make him the new True Lies Harry, yeah. What do you think about Napoleon Dynamite? Love it, man. I've always liked Napoleon Dynamite. And when I was watching the new Dahmer series, it was almost a little too reminiscent of Napoleon Dynamite. I want to know if the writers and creators of Napoleon Dynamite took inspiration from Jeffrey Dahmer, or was Napoleon Dynamite a future serial killer in waiting? Either one, I'd be happy with either answer. Okay, I'm going to answer just a few more questions here. These will be the last couple. We got one here that says, Yemen D. By the way, there was actually a True Lies TV show, Laugh Aloud, FYI. Is there? I didn't know that existed. Well, I've never heard of it until now. Was it good? Probably not. I'm sure someone would have mentioned it by now. Actually, I vaguely remember that being a thing. Which network was that? Was that on like FX or something? West Sports Talk says, I didn't like Ant-Man ripoff Black Adam. He was annoying and tried too hard to be funny. By the way, love you, John, and screw Chris. Well, thanks for that, man. Yeah, the new Atom Smasher character was an Ant-Man ripoff. Even if Atom Smasher came first, he was still an Ant-Man ripoff. And he's also like a Deadpool ripoff, sort of, but not as funny. It was like a guy who's not funny trying to be funny, and you just look at him like, shut the fuck up, you're annoying. That's what Atom Smasher was. So I could live the rest of my life without him ever being in another movie. Night King 01 says you missed my chat. It's right here. I didn't miss anything. All right. Night King 01 says, dude, I miss character actors Steve Buscemi, Michael Wincott, guys like Danny Trejo, and J.K. Simmons. You remember those guys forever? Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely. Like Jeff Goldblum. You know, those are the roles they play and the characters they brought to life. There's a reason you remember them 30, 40 years later. It's only because of their representation of that character that was written down on some paper. That's why you remember it. We don't get that anymore. Okay, the next one comes from, could Jake Gyllenhaal be the villain in True Lies? Yes, I'd like to see more villainous roles from Jake Gyllenhaal. Did you like Smile? Did you watch my Smile movie review? I answer that question in that review. It's over in the Flickpit channel. Check it out. I thought it was okay, but it wasn't good. It was kind of a ripoff of 20 other movies. Faisal H says, smartphones ruined childhood. I'm glad for the 90s. Yeah, they kind of do, in a way. They kind of do. They ruin almost everything. Sometimes, like, having the answer to everything. You know what's weird? Here's my thing on technology. Technology has made smart people smarter and dumb people dumber. What, right? So, like, people who are intelligent, who want to, like, look up information that are useful to life, you know, like, they do so. So they get more information that's actually practical and you can apply to something, right? But dumb people, they look at like TikTok videos of like Cardi B dancing and they just keep scrolling down that. It's just like mind-numbing mush. That's my opinion on technology. I feel good about that answer. But yeah, I'm glad. Dude, I don't know if I'd be a weirdo now. If I had technology at my fingertips when I was a kid in the 90s, I don't know who I would be today. I really don't. I don't know what I would be doing. Night King of One says Steve Howie is playing Harry. Steve Howie? Who the hell is Steve Howie? MKF30 says, what would scare you more in the night? Hearing a noise or finding 3 Chucky good guy dolls in your room in a random place, or Michael Myers in the basement? The Chucky dolls never scared me. They're small. I even if they have like a butcher knife, I feel like I could still take them. Michael Myers in my basement, yes, that would be terrifying. Steve Howie. Let me look up. I gotta look up Steve Howie now, man. Well, that's a letdown. Okay, well, that's Steve Howie. Okay. Guy that you saw once in that one movie. Steve Howie. Okay. Okay, the next one. You'd rather have 3 Chuckies? Yeah, I'd rather have 3 Chuckies as well. Did you dress up like anything for Halloween? Yeah, man, I dressed up like Marty McFly. Go check out the, if you haven't already, go check out my movie night video on the Flickpit channel, talking about Halloween ends. That's what I was for Halloween. I dressed up like Marty McFly. Do my videos show up in your guys' sub boxes? Just a quick question. I'm hearing more often than not, they don't. I've literally talked to people who turn on all their notifications and they do not see my videos pop up. So thanks, YouTube. Thank you. Okay, one more question. MK30 says, would you have liked to seen Brad Dourif or Crispin Glover as the Joker? I'd never... Crispin Glover's the Joker. I mean, maybe in the 90s, but not now. Rarely. I do. I've seen everything you posted recently. Well, thank you, Mr. 47. But that's because you watch everything I post. If you were to skip like 2 videos, you probably wouldn't see them. I see your shorts only regular videos. Interesting. This is heavy. I always see your videos in my sub box and do not have notifications on. Okay, that's good. No, I don't get notifications of live chats. You don't? Well, if you guys want, and you want to join more live chats or see every video, click that little notification button. If you want to. If not, that's okay. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up the live show there, but I do want to say thank you guys to all hanging out, watching. Thanks for the super chats. Thank you so much, guys. It does mean a lot. And what else? Oh, I will be doing a giveaway on the next live show. So look out for that on the next live show. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night. I hope you guys had a good Halloween. And if you missed the Halloween live show from 2 nights ago, I did it at 2 o'clock in the morning. I know, but that's the only time I had to do it. Check that out if you get really bored. So it's like a 50-50. Some people get the notification, some people don't. I acknowledge you, John. Acknowledge me. Yeah. Peace, bud. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. Stay safe. And live shows have returned. We will do more. Sorry for the month delay, but I didn't have a new studio to do them in. Now I do. so you guys can look at my stupid, disgusting face as often as you possibly want. Take care, guys, and I'll see you next time. Stay safe.